What is good, everyone? Welcome into this edition of the Views from the 573. Hope you guys are doing well. Hope you guys are enjoying that nice new contract that you all have just signed. We're getting paid $30 million a year like Alec Pierce or close to that. Hopefully you guys are doing well as we dive on into NFL free agency. We're going to be talking about all the moves and some of the big ticket ones happening after the first wave, the more notable signings, value signings, the ones that have us scratching our heads. And to do that, I am joined by Matt Mormann. Matt, have you signed a new contract yet?
Ryan, I did. I signed a new 4-year deal with the Views from the 573 podcast. It was going to be very lucrative contact, Ryan. You were raising my wages by quite a bit, let me tell you. But unfortunately, you discovered the mild neck pain I suffered back in December from that time when I slept wrong. And
uh,
so therefore I failed my physical, Ryan, and you son of a buck, Ryan, you backed out of that contract because of my bad neck. So I tucked my tail between my legs. I came crawling back. Here we are. But no lucrative 4-year extension for old Matty Mo.
I'm guessing all that money went to Peter instead.
Probably, yeah. Yeah, I would say Peter probably is now rolling in that extension that I would have had. Because it
Yeah.
makes sense, right? It makes sense when you were going to give money to me. Instead, now you pivoted and you gave money to the best, next best option you could find. So it makes sense. You acted the way you should.
Yeah. Well, yeah. This is of course, this is in reference to if you've been living under a rock with NFL free agency and the whole Maxx Crosby stuff. We're going to talk a lot about that, considering that it does include the Ravens. We're going to be talking about some of the quarterback changes that have happened. We had some quarterbacks going to some new places. Some of the major receiver signings, there's been a few of them. Kenneth Walker going to the Chiefs. Talk about that. The Titans making a lot of big moves with them. Not to go on top of, a bunch some new jerseys and a new logo. So we're going to talk about that, and I believe that's a few of the things we're going to talk about. I'm trying to think if there's anything else I'm looking at. Um, I'm just kind of scrolling through the ones, and like I'm just stumbling upon the New York Jets when I see Geno back with the Jets, and that's a fun one. You know, um, I think I saw where it was like it's been 50 years or so since something like that's happened, where the quarterback that was drafted by his original team has gone back late in his career like this. So
Really?
or something like that. I forget where I saw it from, but it had been a minute. I think in this specific Geno Smith scenario, that may have been. I may have read that wrong. It's probably, um, but it is something that it's very rare that happens. But yeah, let's kind of talk about some of these moves right here. And man, I figure we can start with the one that's happened right around where y'all live is Kansas City signing Kenneth Walker, signing the top free agent running back on the market to a 3-year deal, Super Bowl MVP, heading to KC to bolster the run game, getting about 13, 14 million a year. And it really kind of squashes those if Jeremiah Love falls to 9 rumors, and it also adds something to this Kinsey offense that they've been trying to search for quite some time in the running game, and they get the Super Bowl MVP to come in and try to help things out. So, what were your kind of takeaways when you first saw that deal pop up?
Well, Ryan, for years on this platform, I have kind of been poo-pooing the paying of running backs. And so I'm gonna do that again right here. Thing is, I don't think Ken Walker, he's a guy who in Seattle, basically up until his playoff run, they have kind of minimized his workload, right? He's not been an every down back. Zach Charbonnet has been right there with him for basically that entire time. And I'm trying to remember back to his rookie year. Was Rashad Penny still around, or was there someone else even back in that rookie year? But his year
Hmm.
two is when they drafted Charbonnet. And so, really, for the majority of his time, He's been splitting that workload. And I don't think Seattle did that just to do that. I don't think Seattle's stupid, is basically my point here. I don't think they're doing that just because they don't want to give the guy more carries. This is a guy who's had a lot of injury issues. And now you go
Yeah.
into a Kansas City offense where I guess they could bring back like Kareem Hunt, but I don't know. It just sure feels like you're going to be relying a lot on a guy who has definitely not proven to hold up to that workload. Now, I will say this though, that could mean his body is fresh enough to still be able to hold it, right? So this could work out. This could go the other way, where on one hand, I'm looking at this like, well, obviously he's had injury issues as a, I'm going to call him a part-time player, but a majority time player. Um, but by maybe not having as many carries, maybe that does mean that he still has a little more tread on his tires. So it could go either way on that. But I don't love it. I mean, this is a team that lost like their entire secondary, a very good linebacker in Leo Chenal, and I am trying to remember other moves they made. Give me just a second here.
Let's see. They signed Aloy Gilman to help out.
Okay.
It kind
Yeah,
of
safety
offsets the
from the
Brian
Ravens.
Cook leaving to Cincinnati.
Okay, sure. So you replaced one piece of the secondary. You didn't replace either of the corners. And yeah, all they did was sign Ken Walker and Amari DiMercado. Is pretty much the other guy I'm seeing. And then yeah, Tonga, a depth piece on defensive line. They brought back Kelsey. So not a whole
Yeah.
heck of a lot there um, to improve things. And quite frankly, I think running back is that position where, you know, if I don't know, would they really have been better off going with Ken Walker, or should they have gone with a Chris Rodriguez type? Should they have gone even one of the guys who maybe is still out there? Like I don't know what the status of Najee Harris is, but he's still out there. They'll probably bring back Kareem Hunt, I guess, but. I don't know. I don't love, I'm never too big on the running back signings. Most of those don't go very great. And sometimes you don't know how to say the guys' names apparently until they sign new contracts. Um, but we'll get over to that one here in a little bit. Right? I don't know. This feels to me like buying high on a guy. How do you feel about it?
Yeah, I think buying high, he just won MVP of the Super Bowl, had a big game in that one. I did just look, and he is 25 years old. I don't know. Let's see. He turns 26 in October. So by the time this deal runs up, he'll be 28 heading it,
Sure.
turning into 29. So and we know where that steep decline for running backs is around that 30-year-old mark. So
It's well before that. But by the time you
yeah,
get to 30, unless you're Derrick Henry, by the time you get to 30, you have hit the cliff.
yeah,
Right? It's not I want to hesitate on using around 30 because that makes it sound like it could be 32. It's not. It's before, you
yeah.
know. And I don't know, Ryan, I guess one question I do have for you. Would you rather sign Ken Walker or would you rather have signed, let's say, two guys being Rico Dowdle and Tyler Algier, let's just say from the free agent class this year, and still have a couple extra $1 million?
It does sound appealing having two guys like that. I think maybe they also want a little bit of burst, and I feel that probably Walker can probably give them a
Sure.
little bit more in that
Maybe it's
department.
Keaton Mitchell or it's
Yeah,
Emmanuel Wilson signing a really
yeah,
cheap contract in Seattle, right? Like those guys can give you a little bit of burst.
yeah. I think also it's another thing where they take a look at this running back class coming in, and it's like, listen, if we're probably not going to get Jeremiah Love, and we're looking at the rest of the running back class that's behind him, we're like, we prefer to do this rather than sign and then draft somebody with one of our draft picks, in which now they got a couple extra. They got a couple extra
Sure.
from the Trent McDuffie trade. So I think it's solid considering you want to add a little bit of burst. You want to take all, as much as you can off Mahomes' plate coming off his injury. You did just let go of Jawan Taylor, so you probably just put in Jalen Moore at right tackle, but I think you bring in a guy like Walker. One thing that take note of is like with him and Charbonnet. who, I guess DeMarco's going to help fill in some of that role, but it's like Walker's not a three down type of running back.
Exactly. Yeah.
So it kind of like you probably bring in DeMarcado or Rashad Smith in for third down scenarios to kind of get you a receiving threat in the backfield on those third downs. So I kind of lean toward like, okay, I think if you're looking at if you're got the full lay of the land, you probably prefer to sign the guy at the top of the market than no, if you're not going to get Jeremiah Love falling to you at 9 and you don't want to fool around with any of those other rookie running backs heading into what feels like maybe a second type of era for Mahomes and the Chiefs. You go and get the top guy on the market that's not ETN or somebody like that who may have been a little bit. I'm thinking because ETN signed for an extra year, and I can't do the. I think it was like 52 million ETN signed with.
Yeah. Yeah.
So I'm trying
About
to do the
$1 million
math.
less per year.
So it feels like it's about the same. Just kind of doing the math. Let's see, 13 times
We
4.
don't know the full breakdown of these deals yet either. So it could be one of
Yeah,
those things where the Ken Walker deal has like a bunch of funny money at the very end of it, or the ETN one
yeah,
has a complete nonsense final year to it, and it's really the same deal. Like that's very well possible.
yeah.
And in ETN, that's another guy who's had or I guess is it Achan? I didn't read it. I didn't watch it. I saw something go across Twitter yesterday. Is it Trevor Achan now? What happened, Ryan?
Apparently it
Tell me.
is. I'm confused. Apparently we've been all saying his name wrong for the last
5 years?
6, 7 years.
Yeah. You named after Clemson?
Yeah. It's like we all thought it was. What does that mean for his brother though? We
It
gotta ask his brother.
it
You know,
it read to me like a joke. I mean, like I said, I didn't actually watch it, but like I thought it was a joke where he was like, "Oh, I got paid," and I'm like Devin A. Chan, oh, I'm fast. Like I'm like, what are we doing here?
yeah. So yeah, I don't know. I kind of lean towards more of like I can accept this even though there are some cons with this even, but it does give them a legit running back in which I think they've been trying
Yes.
to search
Yeah.
for that. I
Yes.
mean, dating back to when they drafted Clyde Edwards-Helaire, a few years ago.
Yep.
They're trying to find that guy there. Yeah,
And
I
look how
guess
great that went.
yeah. It
Um,
was late in the first round, in which, I mean, now they got another late first round pick from this Rams deal, or, yeah, from
yeah.
this Rams
Yeah,
deal,
the trend.
but
Yeah.
there's no running back there that you can go and take. So, speaking of that, Trent McDuffie being traded to the Rams, really kind of it's really kind of funny because considering you see Jalen Watson, he goes to the Rams.
Yeah.
So I'm like, well, the Rams just got the two big pieces of the Chiefs cornerback room. So it does give the Chiefs another option there at 29. They're going to be fine. They're going to find a corner in the fourth or fifth round and develop him, and he's going to be awesome.
I
it just
guess
seems,
so.
yeah,
I'm not as sure about that as you are. And I don't know this draft class very well yet. Maybe there's you know, excuse me, maybe there's like a stud corner for them to take with their first pick. And who knows? Maybe they even take two of them in the first, right? I don't know this draft class very well yet. But that is something they're gonna have to figure out though, because Ryan, this Chiefs defense has been really good
mm-hmm,
for we're looking at like what probably about 4 years now.
yeah,
And McDuffie's kind of one of those guys that came in young, was a stud, and turned this thing around, and then he gets expensive. And this is how it works in a salary cap sport. You draft a guy, he's great, he becomes expensive, and sometimes you have to pick and choose which ones you keep. Sorry, Tyler Linderbaum. Like that's kind of how this works. But man, Ryan, this Rams defense. You plug in a pass rusher in the draft, and oh boy, this Rams defense looks good.
yeah. I think this is the type of move we've kind of been expecting from the Rams, in which where they got the extra capital, they got the extra first round pick from the Falcons, where they have the ability to do that and do this and still have a first round pick and it not be the lesser of those. They still got pick 13, in which they can, if somebody falls to them, they're in prime position to go and grab somebody if somebody falls, especially if it's a skill position player. You know, because the Rams right now are, it feels they are in win now mode. Getting McDuffie, you
Yeah.
get Watson, that cornerback room. I mean, I think for years we have all looked at that as like that's one reason why the Rams have fallen short a little bit is because despite how good their front is, the defensive back room is not the best. And now it's got to upgrade. You got Watson coming in there. You got McDuffie coming in there where he can play outside. He got paid like an outside. He's probably going to go inside a little bit. But then you got that front where you got all those guys up there with First, Kobe Turner, Fisk, Byron Young, all those guys. I'm leaving a couple out, but yeah, they're ready to roll. I think they just need to go and they're probably going to go add a playmaker at 13 and really just be like, okay, hey, we're going to get somebody that can help us now, and we're gonna go for it. We're gonna go for it and try to see if we can get back to this, get back to the Super Bowl and get Stafford another one because
Which they should.
they should, and you don't know how long you have left with
You
him.
probably you probably do. You probably know you have one more shot, right? And I think that's why there's even the AJ Brown talk, is because like
Yeah.
if you're the Rams, I mean, if you look around the NFL landscape, if you don't have that quarterback in place, Ryan, we've said it for years, and Sam Darnold kind of proves it wrong this year. But if you don't have that quarterback in place, you really don't have a shot until you find it, right? Um, the Rams know for a fact they've got one more year, at least. Maybe it's two, who knows? But they've at least got one more shot with Stafford. So fricking go for it, man. Forget about what our cap situation is going to be in 2 years. Forget about, oh, we don't have the rookie picks. It's fine. Win that thing when you got the shot. Because, man, once Stafford retires, you go try to find your next QB. Who knows? Maybe you don't, and then you're the Broncos for the next 10 years, right? Until you finally do find your guys. Ryan, and on the Rams, I'm going to derail us for about 20 seconds here because I just discovered something. Because I went to look at their depth chart, and at wide receiver, they have a young man, a wide receiver named Mario Williams.
Mm-hmm.
I was stunned. It turns out he was born in 2003. So I would say he was not named after the 2006 first overall pick, Mario Williams. But could you imagine if Mario Williams was plugged into this defense? Oh, you're good. The answer's right there, guys. Just convert the kid.
Yeah, it reminds me of the rumors when that where people were saying like maybe the Rams could go and get Crosby, and just try to. Oh
Yeah.
boy.
Well, I don't know if they're still in or not, but
I mean,
we'll get to Crosby at some point here. Keep
I
on
mean,
teasing.
maybe let's get to it now. I mean, we're already on it, but
All
I mean,
right.
hey, listen,
Okay.
the price may have been lowered a little bit, so they can maybe trade a lower level pick, and or maybe they do trade 13 or something like that. Uh, But yeah, so we all thought Maxx Crosby was going to be a Raven and kind of prepared to have that discussion like, okay, you got that legitimate pass rusher now in Crosby. Well, not so fast, my friends, as Lee Corso would say, because we got the notification Ravens not doing the deal, Crosby going back to the Raiders. It kind of felt like it was going to be a little bit awkward here, but it seems like they played it off and seems like, okay, Crosby is going to be fine with being a Raider now. So I guess it's not weird, or is it? I don't know.
Yeah, it seems to me like Crosby's handled it very professionally.
He has.
Um, and so good on him for that. In my opinion, and this is just me, Ryan, I don't know. None of us really know what's going on here. My personal frustration is kind of the way that this story has been told and the way that broke. Because the first thing that happened was the Raiders posted a tweet where the phrasing was the Baltimore Ravens have backed out of the Maxx Crosby trade. We have no further comment. So basically, what they're saying is this is your fault and we're not saying anything else.
Yeah.
That is the Raiders tweet. This is your fault and we're out, right? Um, and thus because that's the initial way that it was sent out, every follow-up, Ryan, has been headlined Ravens backed out. Ravens back out of the Crosby trade. Ravens backed out, right? That's the phrasing that everybody's been using. If this thing would have been first reported as from Schefter, from a reporter, a neutral party, saying, "Hey guys, Maxx Crosby didn't pass his physical. The deal has fallen through," and not directed the blame in a PR spin kind of a way, I
Yeah.
don't think my Twitter, timeline would be nearly the freaking crap storm banana that it is. But instead, yeah, no, my Twitter timeline, because Twitter's a terrible place full of awful people and
Uh,
bots. It's been all about how the Ravens are scumbags and terrible, and how they did the wrong thing here. When, Ryan, when me and Rebecca went to buy this house that we're sitting in, it had a bad roof, and we agreed though to buy it, and we had an inspection done, and the inspection checked out the roof, said, yeah, the roof is bad, it does need to be repaired. If they would have come back from the inspection and said, "Oh, the roof is really bad," and also, by the way, we also found this other thing with like the foundation, or maybe maybe the owners would have said, "Oh, but the roof got repaired in December, like a meniscus tear that got repaired in December," but
yeah.
then the inspection says, "Oh no, it's worse than what we thought, or it hasn't worked the way we thought it would." Guess what me and Rebecca would have done? We would have not bought the house and bought the house down the street or something. Like, so that's the Trey Hendrickson side of things here, is the Ravens absolutely have the right and the common sense to, if the medicals come back on Crosby and you are not happy with what you see, you don't send two first round picks for him, and you do go sign the next best pass rusher. It's not
Hmm.
like they went to, by the way, they went to a guy who did not have any deal agreed upon. It's not like
Yeah.
they went to Odafe Owe and said, "Hey, come on back to us, big guy. We'll give you $10 million more than what the Commanders have agreed to you on." No, they took the guy that nobody else had signed. And they said, "Well, we'll take you now instead because we can't do the deal we wanted to do." I don't know how anybody, if the Ravens had this grand scheme, I don't understand how they could have possibly had benefited here. You got a worse player. Yeah, you're not giving me your two first round picks. You're still giving a whole lot of money in cap space for him.
Yeah.
And yeah, I don't know, Ryan. Am I just biased Ravens fan for believing the Ravens story on this one? I don't know. To me, it just makes sense that a guy who had a torn meniscus in December played on it, by the way, before the Raiders shut him down for the final game. It makes sense to me that you could get to March, look at that knee, and not be happy with what you see and not want to spend those two first round picks. I don't know, Ryan. Am I just biased?
I think one thing to also bring up with this is, they were talking about bringing Hendrickson in with this deal done. From
Yeah.
what I've read, it sounds like they were like thinking like,
They
"Hey, we want to pair these two guys up."
they had a reworking of Lamar's deal figured out to move that cap space.
Yeah. So listen, we know with sports and with everything, it matters how you spin it, and the Raiders got out way in front of this and spin it like this. And like, listen, they are losers in this as far as what happened because they end up losing out on two first round picks, and you get one in 2027, in which it looks like it looks like it's going to be a pretty good draft. You lose an extra one where you could have helped out your soon to be franchise quarterback in Mendoza with a pick in the top 15. And then you bring back Crosby with all the salary. And then you also got to keep in mind, because you had this deal traded and you had that salary added to your cap, and you signed all these big time free agents, what's that going to do? Are you going to have to rework some things? It sounds like they didn't, but,
Yeah,
you
it
know,
looks to me like all those deals stood. The Raiders had so much cap space
yeah,
to the point where it seems like they were able to still uphold all the deals they agreed upon. And by the way, it's totally would have been within the Raiders' right to say, okay, this changed. Sorry, Quiddy Pay. We're no longer doing that deal. That totally would have been within the Raiders' right. It's why the tampering period is kind of stupid, because all these things are unofficial, but they're being
yeah.
treated like they're official.
Yeah, so I don't know. I don't think you're wrong for feeling like, hey, you're the bad guys here because of how the PRs really kind of got out in front of and just painted as Ravens are bad guys, in which I don't know. Some teams will probably believe the PR and not want to do deals. They'll probably buy into that.
I find
So
that so hard to believe, though. Like, if let's say Lamar's on the trade block next spring, I don't think a single one of these freaking teams are going to say, "Well,
yeah,
we're not trading with the Ravens because the Maxx Crosby didn't pass his physical last year." No, if the teams want to
yeah,
trade, they'll trade. I don't. I'm not worried about that at all whatsoever. Yeah, the guy failed his physical. That is apparently a fact, right? Like the Cowboys doctor apparently looked at the thing also, and the Cowboys have said we're out if he's available for trade. And by the way, Ryan, you mentioned the Raiders being a loser in this. I kind of don't think they are.
I meant as far as like how this thing went, as far as like getting the 2 first-round picks and having some more cap space to play around. But I think I see where you're coming from. Is because after the Quiddy pay deal, after they signed him, he's now your number 2 pass rusher instead of your number 1. So you're thankful for that. You're thankful that he's not your number 1 at least coming into the draft.
Sure.
So
I think my point more is okay, clearly a team will value a healthy Maxx Crosby as a 2 first round pick.
sure,
Value.
yes,
He's not currently healthy. So if Crosby goes out there and crushes it for 6 weeks next year, I don't know if you're getting 2 first for him, but you probably, if you were honest about the medicals, or once I think any team was exposed to the medicals, you were not getting 2 first for this player anyway right now. So I think that come trade deadline time, can you get a first and a second? Can you get a first and maybe 2 thirds or something, right? I think that's totally possible still. And I just don't think if his knee is in the shape that apparently it currently is, no team was going to give you 2 first rounders for that. But now it has been established in the world that a healthy Maxx Crosby does get you 2 first rounders. A very good team is willing to give up the 14th overall pick, by the way. This ain't the Trent McDuffie trade where that pick is like 28 or whatever. This is
right,
the 14th pick.
yeah.
So I think it's actually, I mean, I'm not going to call it a win for the Raiders. It is what it is. But like, I don't know, it set the market. Colton Parayko had kind of a similar thing with the Blues a week earlier, the trade deadline, where the Blues agreed to a trade with the Buffalo Sabres. The compensation came out and it was a freaking haul. And then Parayko said, I'm not going to Buffalo. Well, to me, as a Blues fan, I actually kind of view that as a bit of a win because now it sets the market for this offseason. If Parayko says, hey, here are 7 teams I am willing to go to, well, now the Blues can say, here's the price Buffalo was willing to pay for this player. This is the price that we are willing to that we will take for this player. So I don't know. I don't think it's that bad to have an established public price set when that price is really high. I don't
Yeah,
necessarily think that's a bad thing.
yeah. And then you can also frame it like this for the Raiders. You got one former Raven, and then you got technically another former
Yeah,
Raven. I guess.
they got Linder, they got Linderbaum from us, so it's like we
And
traded
Crosby was
Linderbaum
a
for
Raven
nothing.
for a little bit, so technically they got 2 former Ravens.
That's the thing, though, Ryan. Technically, he's not because of this stupid tampering period.
Yeah, yeah,
Just get rid
yeah.
of the tampering window and just do official things. I don't know if I really understand the purpose.
I mean, we all know these deals probably happen before that period happens.
Yeah,
So,
yeah. I mean, there's a reason why 12 minutes in, we've got a Tyler Algier going to Arizona or
yeah,
whatever, right? Like, oh, because these negotiators they say I'm worth this, and the team goes, I agree, and they just make a deal in 10 minutes. That's not how this works.
yeah. That's not how it works. Yeah, so I figure, we talked about Chiefs, we talked about Ravens, we talked about 2 teams here in the 573 fandom. The Titans had, that they were another team that had, like the Raiders, had a bunch of cap space. They still have a bunch of cap space, I think. So I don't know if they're going to make another big time signing. Maybe not, but there's some guys out there. I particularly want them to sign Jawan Jennings, but I don't know if that's
Oh,
I don't know if
yeah.
that's going to happen because A, he's probably one of my favorite Vols. B, because seeing him play in Tennessee again would be great. And C, if that happens, I would probably be the only person that would buy a Jawan Jennings jersey with the new Titans uniform.
No, you would not be alone. There'd be plenty of little Tennessee Vol fans that are also
Well,
Titans fans.
let's just say I'd probably be the first that would jump on.
You'd be among the first. Yes. Yes, indeed.
um, but that's still not going to happen unless it's like the Harbaugh getting fired stuff, and it happens like right in the middle of this pod. And otherwise, you
That'd
might
be
just see
fun.
me. You might just see me collapse.
Whatever you do,
But
Ryan, when you're punching in your credit card information, do not read it out loud on the show.
yeah, well, honestly, that might be the thing that needs to be saved. It's just not is the credit card because it's gonna be like, please don't buy a jersey, please don't. It would be like if Tennessee won the national championship. It would just like my bank account was just
Oh,
like, please get this credit card away from this guy as fast as you can.
yeah, it's a good thing I was like as broke as I was when the Blues won the cup because I would have definitely bought more stuff than I did.
Yeah, I don't know, and I mean, whenever stuff like that happens, you want to get as of course, as much stuff as you can because you don't know when that's going to happen unless you're just like a full blown dynasty.
Chiefs fans in the other room, am I right?
But no. So looking at some of the moves to Titans Bay with their cap space, a lot of defensive signings, which of course big shock. You got Robert Saleh as your head coach, so of course he's gonna be a key part as to why there are more signings on the defensive side. But also, there's a lot more Jets and Giants that are now on the roster. Which, to bring it up, I don't know how I feel about that. you know,
Let's go hoard some players that were on bad teams.
But to be fair, the Jets' defensive players on the teams that when Saul was coaching were pretty good. The defense were pretty good there when he was coaching the Jets. So there's that. No, yeah. So they've really, especially defensive line, they've really
Yeah.
kind of hammered defensive line. I can't begin to even count. Let's see, how many defensive line signings have they made? Or let's see, they got Jermaine Johnson. So Jermaine Johnson, Jacob Martin, Jordan Elliott, John Franklin Myers, Malik Herring, Solomon Thomas. That's six right there. I feel like there might have been one more, but that's six guys already. Um, but no, yeah, I mean the two big ones were Jermaine Johnson, John Franklin Myers. Um, I'm
Both former
particular.
Jets.
Yeah, both former Jets. Both again were really good when Salah was there. Particularly Jermaine Johnson had that one Pro Bowl season. Before the year before he tore his Achilles, and last year coming back didn't play as well. I'm really excited about Jeffrey Simmons and John Franklin Myers together on the inside. That's fun. I think I saw a stat where it talked about the pressure rate from defensive tackles, and those two were like in the top 10, pretty close to top 5 for both of them. So I'm excited. Although it sounds like he might play some edge as well on some rundowns from how Salah talked about him. I saw a clip where he talked about like maybe using like Eric Armstead, kicking him
Okay.
out
Sure.
at edge on those early downs and kicking him inside, and then you get your pass rushers on those third downs, your passing downs, and then they particularly hit the cornerback market pretty hard. Cordell Flott and Alontae Taylor getting it was a rich cornerback market for those two. I don't know if we thought those two were going to getting close to the amount of money they're going to make per year
Yeah,
for
and letting
those two.
Snead go, I would assume, is part of that.
Yeah, well, Snead is. I think Snead is as of today, as of Saturday night. He is. They've released him.
Yeah.
So you bring those two in, and I mean, listen, they need cornerback room. They needed cornerback help because honestly, Matt, if they didn't, we were probably going to be some of the next guys up to play cornerback for the Tennessee Titans with how things were going for that room. Like
I'm
it
more
was.
of a tight end, but Daniel Bellinger took that spot from me.
I mean, exactly, but I mean, they got their tight ends. It's just like they need somebody to cover. But they get those two guys. A Flat, I'm more excited about, even though Taylor, he is the former Vol, so like that he signed. Flat is a little bit younger, has a little bit more upside, and like he's 24, 25, so like he's a young corner, So Jermaine Johnson, Jacob Martin is a sneaky one. I think is a sneaky
Yeah.
signing. good signing. Had 5.5 sacks for the Commanders. Um, Mitch Trubisky coming in to be the backup, so I'm assuming Will Levis is gone. He's going to get traded,
All
probably.
right, Ryan, I'm cutting you there. You can't go to Mitch Trubisky.
Uh,
I'm cutting you
well,
there.
well,
Well, we're going to Wandale.
okay, I'm going to talk. Okay, yeah, that was
You
the next
can't
guy.
you can't
Although,
bury Wandale by talking about
uh,
Mitch Trubisky.
can I bring up this one fun fact with Trubisky though?
Fine, I'll allow it.
Okay. So funny enough, the Titans now have the number 2 and number 3 overall picks in the 2017 draft. Mitch Trubisky and Solomon Thomas.
Oh,
So
wow. Interesting.
yeah,
And the 49ers originally had the second pick and moved back a spot to take Thomas. So the
yeah.
49ers held both those picks, which at the time, Robert Saleh was there. And now
Oh
you guys
man.
have it with them. Wow, how about that, Ryan? Are there any
All,
other players from the 2017 draft that you would like for your team to have?
oh, well, I don't know if they're good. Come on up. We need some help. Only come if you're good. If you suck, get out of here.
Okay, all right.
Um,
Let's talk about
no,
Wandale.
yeah,
So 4 years, 70 million for Wandale Robinson, 38 guaranteed.
yeah,
The thing that I find interesting, Ryan, and I talked about this a little bit in our group chat when the Steelers got Michael Pittman. Peter was very upset for $20 million a year for Michael Pittman.
yeah.
Ryan, don't look it up. I'm curious if you happen to have a guess. 17.5 mil per year. There's a wide receiver who has that exact same average. He is right there around the same age as Wandale. I think they may have been in the same draft actually, but the other guy's a year younger. He is currently in the AFC. I'll go ahead and give you the division. AFC North. Can you guess who that player is? Exact same per year pay as Wandale at 17 and a half.
AFC North. It's not. Is it a? Is it a Steeler?
It is not a Steeler. So
Okay.
Pittman's at 19.6, which is funny because
Okay.
Pittman is literally the next guy paid above. There's no wide receivers in between 17 and a half and 19.6.
Is it a Raven receiver?
It is not. So we've narrowed it down, and shockingly enough, Ryan, Jamar
It,
Chase and T. Higgins are both well paid above that.
it's Jerry
Uh,
Judy, isn't it?
so it's Jerry Judy, which Ryan, the thing is, I think you look at Wandale getting 17 and a half per year, and I think a lot of people probably, scoffed at, oh my gosh, Wandale, he just got paid. Well, dude, you're getting Jerry Judy money. That feels right to me. Like I would say Jerry Judy, Wandale, obviously very different players. One's tall and can't catch, one's short and can catch. Um, but they're kind of that same range to me. Pittman it being right above them. It's a $2 million difference. He's the next wide receiver up. Um, yeah, that's the range for Wandale. Funny enough, so Wandale got 17 and a half. There's only two other wide receivers who are at 17 mil a year, and it's Romeo Dobbs and it's Rashid Shaheed who just signed. So
Yeah.
it's interesting. There's almost like this little mid-market of wide receivers that is developing here. Jacoby Myers is another guy who just signed that
Mm-hmm.
extension
Yeah.
when he got traded. He's at 20 mil a
Similar.
year. So it's interesting how there's kind of that group of guys in that kind of middle class of wide receiver, all kind of lumped in there together. I think it's kind of just a more expensive version of the Khalil Shakir, Rashad Bateman, Christian Watson types. I think like those are players I would lump in together talent wise with a Wandale. But I don't know, Ryan. I think this is perfectly fine. It's cheaper than your Calvin Ridley contract.
Which they
Um,
just now restructured. You know.
okay, so they moved some
So
money around on that.
so I don't think the numbers have come out for that. So we'll have to see what exactly they did.
Yeah,
But
but no, I think the Wandale signing, I think that's a player who obviously Dable got some good stuff out of.
yeah,
It's a guy who I think is a very good like security blanket type of receiver for Cam Ward that hey, when things aren't developing, this is a guy who's just gonna be underneath and open. It's
yeah,
not like he's gonna make a big play or anything, but
he's
he'll
a
be underneath and
separator.
he's yeah, yeah, on short routes. So I really actually I like that signing for Tennessee. I think that is a sign that makes a whole lot of sense. Um, wide receivers get paid.
Yeah,
Alec Pierce got paid. Alec Pierce is crazy. All right, that
yeah,
one that one doesn't belong here. But
yeah,
wide receivers, man, 20 mil doesn't get you, you know, Amon-Ra St. Brown. 20 mil gets you Jerry Jeudy. 20 mil gets you Michael Pittman. It doesn't get you AJ Brown.
yeah. No, yeah. Like I kind of figured. Like, listen, all signs were pointing to like this. Wandale was going to be a tight end. Like it was going to happen. You
Yeah,
know,
it's
it
just
was just
been
like
way too much.
it was just going to be what the money was going to look like. You know, what kind of
Yeah.
deals he going to get. So I mean, and listen, the Titans, devoid of talent, that receiver room, they get a little bit of it, and I think
Hmm.
you take a look at the two young receivers they drafted last year, DK and Al Manor. You know, you're kind of wondering, okay, Robinson does kind of overlap a little bit with DK as far as like their role and like what the offense would be, and, and like you talk about Dobbs getting around that same money,
Yeah.
would you have wanted to do that rather, and just get a guy like that? Maybe if they were like, hey, we want to move off Ridley and we need a bigger
Sure.
guy out there, then that probably would have been the move. So
Moving off Ridley, I can't imagine is easy. And
no,
I think stylistically, yeah, Ridley and Dobbs
And
probably
Dable and
clash a little bit.
Ridley kind of oversight because they were at Alabama around that same time. So I mean,
Oh, yeah,
there's a connection there. So I think the Titans are probably fine with I do imagine they're gonna get a receiver somewhere in the draft, somewhere
for sure.
in the draft. But it feels like they're gonna roll with we're gonna go with Calvin. We're gonna for one more year at least. We're gonna have Wandale, DK, L Manor, whoever
Yeah,
that draft pick is, and then we're gonna roll with that. And then we got Helm and Bellinger at tight ends. No Chig, who's now a commander. Um, Offensive line, they gotta get sorted out. Maybe they bring back Zeitler. I imagine they will. Um, and then it leaves the kind of the door open at 4 a little bit for what they want to do. Now, obviously, that's something in the group chat we talked about. Was like, what could be a plan at 4 that they could
and
do?
what are they not going to do, Ryan?
All I'm saying, now I did read this. Circling back to John. This is not a Jeremiah Love thing. Circling back to John Franklin Myers thing. If you do kick them inside on passing downs, if you do draft a David Bailey or Arvell Reese, if they're there, put him
Sure.
in there. Have Jermaine Johnson on the other side. And it seems like they're kind of building up that Seahawks type of, not necessarily Seahawks type of level depth they had, but like getting depth on that line where you can just sub in
Just like
guys.
the Eagles, just like the
Yeah,
Seahawks, just like the 49ers. We talked about
yeah.
that. That's the move.
And also the forgotten man is Oladejo, who they drafted in the second round last year. In all this, and he got hurt in the middle of last year. So I don't know.
Ryan, repeat after me. The Tennessee Titans
The Tennessee Titans
should not
should not
draft a running back
draft a running back, but I lean
in
towards they
in
will.
the first round.
I, in the first round,
I'll allow it later, not in round
I
one.
well, we'll talk about when draft stuff comes around. But
Yeah,
because again,
well, yeah,
we'll talk about when draft stuff comes around. But again, there's a lot of different avenues they could go with. Sonny Styles. I mean, they could use another linebacker. And I did see a comparison where they said like, oh, I think it was Daniel Jeremiah said like, oh, Fred Warner. So and
sure. Why not?
Robert Sala was like, yeah, sure, I'll get my Fred Warner.
All right, Ryan. Is that it for the Titans?
Yeah, let's talk about the other
Okay.
receiver moves. Let's
Repeat.
talk.
Oh, okay. You went a different direction. I was gonna take us somewhere else.
Okay, where were
Okay.
you gonna go?
Nope. I'm gonna follow you here, Ryan. Repeat after me. Alec freaking Pierce
Alec freaking Pierce
is not worth
is not worth
$114 million.
$114 million. And what's crazy is some other team was going to pay him more.
Yeah, probably was. Probably was.
He's getting paid top 15 market money at the receiver position.
Man, oh man. And you know, oh gosh. Okay, can I I know the obvious argument is against this because look, this is a dude who like is a good wide receiver.
He's good.
He's
He's good.
fine. Like if he's your number two or your number three, kind of how I view like Rashad Bateman with the Ravens, you
Yeah.
know. But this guy just got paid like triple Rashad Bateman. Um, he
Uh,
makes big plays.
yes.
Like
Breakdown
he's a
field threat.
downfield weapon, a downfield target. He only how many catches do you think he had last season?
I got the numbers
He
right
went for a
here.
thousand yards. He went for 1,000 yards.
He did. Just barely over 1,000
40,
yards.
47 catches.
47 catches on 84 targets.
That is okay. For reference here, I would say you want your number one wide receiver to get, I don't know, what's 7 times 16? I think like 7, 8 targets is kind of like the baseline. That's 112. Yeah, he got like 50, what, 30 less than that.
Yes.
Um, he's just not like, I don't want to say not a big part of the offense because he is. He's a big part of opening the field up, and he's led the league in yards per reception 2 years in a row now. There is a role there. It's just not, you know, he's paid the same as T. Higgins.
Yeah.
Like that's not.
Yeah.
And you know, I talk about how NFL contracts are funny money, and this one is too. You know, there's some of
Yes.
that. I'm looking at it on Spot Track, and it really is a 2 year deal. Really. His cap hit in 27 is 35.2. I'm
Oh
sure
man.
they'll restructure this a year from now and push some of that down. But it's just weird. I mean, he got freaking paid. Good for him. Good for
Hey,
you,
good
bud.
for him.
And this was a second round draft pick. It's not like this is a guy who came
Yeah.
completely out of nowhere. He's a guy who throughout his entire career, he for those first couple years, it was like half the production of the last 2 years, but like
Yeah.
made some plays, made
Yeah.
some plays, but not wide receiver one on your team.
Yeah. I feel like now with the type of money he's getting paid, he's gonna be counted on to do more than just downfield stuff. It's just gonna be like more 3 level stuff. Being if you're getting paid what he's getting paid, you gotta be more than just a downfield threat. You know,
Yeah,
he's got to be able to do stuff. You know, short, intermediate, and then of course you have the deep threat stuff. Sure, but he's got
I
to do
mean,
more.
if he slotted in just above that Jacoby Myers, Michael Pittman group, I'm totally good with that.
Yeah, I'm fine.
Um,
Yeah,
but
that's
he
cool.
slots in at T Higgins, Brandon Ayuk's contract, but that's getting voided.
Yeah,
But Ayuk is a way healthy at time of signing Ayuk, taking him over Alec Pierce.
definitely.
I'm Ross St. Brown, Jalen
Yes.
Waddle, DJ Moore. Okay, Jamison Williams, but JMO I think does quite a bit more.
Yeah.
Nico Collins, Devonta Smith, and then a wide receiver that we're not going to talk about because I don't want to get Ryan upset. And then Devontae Adams and Cortland Sutton. Um, yeah, you don't belong in this group, Alec Pierce.
No.
But congratulations.
Now, which one of these things does not belong? Yeah,
Yeah,
it's like Where's Waldo, but an easier version of like which of these guys does not belong. It's Alex Pierce. He sticks out like a sore
yeah.
thumb.
So that's not great, but you know what? Signing I do think is actually a really nice one though. That's Romeo Dobbs going to the Patriots.
Yes. Yeah.
So
Yep.
basically the same deal as the Wandale deal.
Yeah.
He kind of fits the mold of what Stephon Diggs left vacant. He's younger though. I think that's not a bad little move there. I think that they should not be finished. I think they need to
Yeah.
go add another weapon, another pass catcher. But I think Dobbs is a good start.
Yeah, definitely. I think you just see the type of and like Dobbs is still a young guy that can grow with Drake in this offense, and like they definitely need some more. help outside. Although them signing Reggie Gilliam, it seems like Vrabel's like doubling doubling down on the type of offense and run game they want to have there. Um, but yeah, I think another receiver's probably in order. Maybe it's draft, and maybe maybe they sign another guy out there.
There's still a few. Hollywood is out there. Juwan Jennings is out there.
Yep,
Debo,
yep,
Christian Kirk is out there.
yeah,
Tyreek and Diggs, if you want to go old, they're out there. Greg Dortch, he's a player.
yeah.
So there are guys still available wide receiver. Um, Juju,
No, I don't think Vrabel vibes with the TikTok dances.
Keenan,
Yeah, older receiver. Yeah.
yeah,
Oh,
yeah. So
I just thought of somebody good. Yeah, I know he signed with the Niners, but like as like he's a little bit older. Mike Evans would have been as far as like
sure,
the quarterback Drake May is.
yeah.
You know,
I think that would be a better fit for Mike Evans than San Fran is. I think. I don't totally love that fit. I think, the 49ers feel like they're such a horizontal passing game,
mm-hmm,
if that makes sense. And Mike Evans is a very vertical player. I love Mike Evans, have for forever, man. I just don't love the fit here. I just don't know how much he fits what Purdy does, but if there's anybody I trust to make it work, it's Kyle and it's Mike Evans. And
yeah,
I totally trust them to figure out maybe it's a wrinkle in the offense they want to add.
yeah,
Juwan Jennings is kind of that Mike Evans build. So maybe it's like, hey, let's get super Juwan, and we'll go get Mike Evans to do that. So yeah, I'm not in love with it. There's other places I would have preferred for him in purple.
yeah.
But you know,
Yeah, it felt like Dobbs was being linked to the Niners for a little bit there. It felt like that was going to be where he was going to end up, and then of course, I mean, he goes to the Patriots, and then Evans. Yeah, like Evans gives them something they haven't really had as far as like your receiver of that type of caliber and that type of build in that offense. It's been mainly like the Ayuks, the Debos, those types of guys. So yeah, I think as far as the other receiver moves, I mean, those are the ones that I mean
yeah,
really stand out.
we're good to yada yada to the rest of them. I think.
Yeah,
Let's change gears over to running backs.
yeah. Let's talk about running backs.
So we already hung Ken Walker. The other big one is Travis Achan,
Yeah,
formerly known as Travis Etienne. But I guess he's Achan now. It's just still, I'm not going to call him that. I'm going to call him Travis Etienne. Uh, I'm sorry. That's just who you are. He goes to New Orleans, Ryan.
homecoming.
Oh yeah, I guess it is, isn't it? I think that is fine in that you've got a team who their functionality is based a lot around what Alvin Kamara has done for them for a long time.
Hmm.
And
Yeah,
I think he's a guy who can kind of slot into that similar role, take some pressure off the young quarterback kind of a situation. I don't love it. It's a big deal, but you're also a team I think one of the differences between the Chiefs signing Walker to a big deal and ETN going to the Saints on a big deal is like the Chiefs are in a window where the money really does matter. The Saints aren't, and so you can afford to kind of sign a guy. I don't want to say you can afford to make a mistake, but you can afford to overpay a little bit. You can afford to sign the running back that helps you out for a couple years to help you develop that quarterback, right? Help develop the offense a little bit. Um, so I'm okay with it. I'm not in love with it, but I'm okay with it. I really didn't know where I wanted him to go. I think I kind of wanted him to just go back to Jacksonville.
yeah, yeah. It would make sense. It would make sense. Although the Saints are they were they were talking about building up that offensive line, getting another piece, and they go right along inside David Edwards and plug him in at guard, and they got an offensive line that feels like if Eric McCoy can stay healthy, you got Kelvin Banks, Fuaga, who they've drafted the last couple years. It feels like that Kellen Moore has an idea of running the ball, with that offense. If they can get another receiver in there,
Yeah.
because you don't know about Olave, with all of his injury issues, you just don't know. So I mean, I think for ETN, he's like even if it doesn't make sense for the Saints, I think for him it made sense. Like you go back home, you
Sure.
get to put on the hometown jersey. You got
You
another
got it
young
back.
quarterback. You got a decent offensive line in front of you that can block. Kellen Moore's a decent enough play caller that he can really help you get set up really well. So I I don't mind it.
J.K. Dobbins goes back to the Broncos. They
Yeah,
were in on quite a few running backs, it sounds like. And so it's interesting to see them end up kind of almost maybe settling a little bit by going back with Dobbins. He played well for them though when he was healthy. It was surprise, surprise. J.K. Dobbins played well when he was healthy, and then he wasn't healthy anymore. Um, Good for him for man still being in the league going into 2026 and getting paid to do it like pretty well. 2 years, 16 mil. Year one is basically the guarantee, as it should be at this point for him. Like it's kind of year by year, but like I don't know. I think him and RJ Harvey is a nice pairing. It would not surprise me to see them draft another guy though, in this class, maybe in like a round two, round three kind of range. They don't seem to be as in love with RJ Harvey as I think they should be.
yeah, yeah. I think they still won Ashton Janey last year. I think,
Mm,
and now they got to face him, which I mean, for Janey, he set up pretty well with what's going on now with Linderbaum going there. So I mean, yeah, I think, uh, yeah, I'm just kind of taking a look at some of the other running back moves. David Montgomery gets traded to
yep.
Houston.
And
Um,
Joe Mixon is officially gone from there. Washington, interesting. Well, first of all, so Tampa lets Rashad White walk, but bring
yeah,
in Kenny Gainwell. That
yeah,
kind of feels very one for one to me.
yeah,
And then Washington building the backfield the way that Matt Mormann would is let's bring in Rashad White for cheap. He's got a role. Let's bring in Jerome Ford for cheap. He's got a role. And then last year we drafted a guy named Bill. That's how I would build a running back room. Is that's the Matt Mormon way of doing it right there.
yeah, yeah. And now I think you just gotta hope that you got to get some receiver help out there for Jaden.
Sure.
You got to get out there. I don't know how much Lauren McLaurin's going to be there, so you got to get somebody in there.
Yeah.
You know,
But how do you feel about the backfield though?
I don't mind it. I think it goes back to the whole. It feels like the Commanders were like if Jeremiah Love was going to fall to 7, they would probably be a team that would consider that because Jane Daniels, Jeremiah Love, that's a really nice electric backfield that you got back there. So it's kind of
Yeah.
like they followed suit with the Saints and the Chiefs as far as like let's go add running backs through free agency. And so now it feels like the Giants and Titans are probably the only two teams and that could go get them in the top 10. And but yeah,
Well, I think though the guys the Commanders sign is Jerome Ford and Rashad White, Ryan. If
yeah,
Jeremiah's love is there, I'm not letting Jerome Ford stop me from drafting the guy I want to draft. A couple guys I got surprisingly, I think a bit more money than people thought. Chris Rodriguez goes to Jacksonville, so it's him and Tootin time. And then Keaton Mitchell.
yeah,
Ryan, I did not realize Keaton Mitchell was even a free agent. And here
yeah.
he goes, gets 2 years of 9.2 million to go from John to Jim.
And surprise, surprise, Mike McDaniel wants a speedy running back.
I know, man, he is gonna have some fun with him. I don't know how like Keaton's thing is that basically he's really fast. Like that's it. And if there's anybody you want to have coaching you up when you're really fast, that's the dude.
Yeah, that's the guy. So yeah, there are some definitely some perfect marriages here from free agency and coaches. That's one of them. That's up top of the list right there. Um, Brees Hall getting the tag, so he doesn't hit the market. He's going. It seems like he's going back to the Jets for another year. So I think as far as running backs, I mean, there's a tight end rooms. There's a couple tight ends. Another Raven, Charlie Kohler goes to from John to Jim.
Yep.
Um, you know, there's
Let's talk Isaiah Likely,
yeah, Isaiah Likely. Yeah,
the
he's going
top
to the
tight end of the
Giants.
market.
Yeah,
Go to the Giants with John. I found this odd because I thought John I thought it felt like he never fully unleashed likely because he's a bad blocker. And so it surprised me to see that John would then turn around and bring Likely in. One thing that I think is interesting too is, last season at the point in time when Mark Andrews signed his extension, John was a part of that. So you would think at that point in time, they obviously consult, Harbaugh had power in the Ravens. Like, this is not a situation where the GM just made decisions without the coach's input. So that means last season, Harbaugh chose Mark Andrews as the guy to stay with him when both Andrews and Likely were due for free agency.
Yeah.
And now he turns around and gives Likely the exact same deal, basically, that Mark Andrews got with the Ravens. I don't know. It's weird. I find it interesting. I don't know if it'll work. I hope it does. I'm rooting for Likely. I have always been a big, like, Isaiah Likely breakout believer, and it hasn't happened yet. I would love to see it happen. I don't know. I mean, he could be their number two target getter, though,
Yeah.
and that would be pretty awesome.
And the Giants haven't had a tight end like this, that can go and be a vertical threat like Likely can.
No,
They haven't had a guy like this. So
not since Ingram.
yeah, so I yeah, that's definitely kind of a surprising move right there. And then Chig going to the Commanders, that's another one. Well, where he's kind of like in the Likely mold, where he's like not the best blocker, but a good receiving threat, yards after catch.
Hmm.
But as far as the other tight end market, I'm kind of scrolling around here, and like I saw Tyler Conklin sign with the Lions. Yeah, not a whole lot, yeah, as far as the tight end market, that I'm looking at. Yeah, and then Charlie going to the Chargers, so another one going from John to Jim. As far as the other signings, kind of take a look at some of the other teams. We got a few minutes here, and we might do another Zoom
Well,
recording.
I was gonna say we haven't done quarterbacks yet, Ryan. The most important position in the sport we have not touched on.
Okay.
So
Let me
we're
touch on the
definitely
New
going to
York
need to.
teams real quick. Let me touch on New
Okay,
York teams real quick because there's a couple interesting things here with them. They did just sign Darnell Mooney. The Giants did. Um, so I believe they've signed Darnell Mooney and I think Calvin Austin. I think I saw signed
yeah,
with them.
yep.
So that's two receivers in there. I guess he can kind of help, replace Wandale, I guess, in a sense. Patrick Ricard goes to the Giants. Big surprise.
That one is far less surprising than Isaiah Likely. That one makes a
Um,
lot of sense.
um, Giants bring back El Manor at right tackle, Evan Neal. Tremaine Edmonds going to the Giants after the Bears let him go. Um, that feels like a hardball type of signing. Bring him in there.
Sure.
I feel like there's guys that are going to be like, okay, let's mock Sonny Styles to the Giants and let's have the most athletic linebacker room and the longest linebacker room in the history of linebacker rooms.
They took Jordan Stout.
They did take Jordan Stout.
That's another guy. I didn't even realize that was a free agent. They took our punter. Freaking John Harbaugh.
This is what
Jerk.
happens when a coach leaves you and goes to
I
somewhere
don't
else.
like this, Ryan. I don't like this one bit. Brian Billick didn't take anyone with him to NFL Network.
Well,
I don't like this.
I doubt NFL Network is getting a punter to come on with them, with the coach. But
No, but he could have taken like Ray Lewis. It was 2007.
and then take a look at the Jets as well. I mean, I mean, Gino's back.
Yeah, how about that, Ryan? Geno Smith, all these years later, circles his way back to. There have been a lot of starting quarterbacks in between Geno Smith with the Jets. And by the way, also Demario Davis
Yeah,
is back with the Jets after
he's
a
an
long
adult in the
time in New
room.
Orleans.
He's an adult in the room, and like the Jets
Yeah,
need adults in the room.
yep.
Um,
We need a couple of
so
those.
they bring him in. Dylan Parham's coming in there. Defensively, I mean, they added a bunch. I mean, Joseph Osai, Kingsley and Barre, traded for Devondre Sweat. Signed Nashawn Wright, who had a good year with the Bears. Dane Belton, Cisco traded for Minka. So I mean, they're trying to build that
Wow.
defense up, which I mean, it's no surprise with Aaron Glenn as the coach, but he's trying to bring some guys that are adults in the room, can try to help out, and also it
DeMar
does open them up if they take a guy like Arvell Reese, where like he's not, they can play him at edge, linebacker, all that different stuff. So the Jets
DeMario
are,
was drafted 1 year before Geno.
yeah,
Wow.
oh boy, yeah. So I mean, so the New York teams have been very, very busy, to
Yeah,
say the least. Very, very
yeah.
busy. All right, let's talk quarterbacks here as we kind of wrap up free agency here. We have three notable ones to talk about here. We have Kyler Murray as being the more recent one, being released by the Cardinals, signing a 1 year minimum deal with the Minnesota Vikings. Then we have Tua Tagovailoa going to Atlanta after being released from the Dolphins, and the Dolphins having the world's largest dead cap hit ever. And then one of the first few moves right out the gate was Malik Willis signing a 3 year deal worth over $60 million to be the starting quarterback of the Miami Dolphins. Matt, which one do you want to start off first with?
Let's start with Malik Willis because he's the one who signed like the real contract. The other two are both 1 year deals, both like minimum deals because they were releases. Let's start with Malik Willis here. So this is a guy who you know very well, Ryan. Well,
Yeah,
first of all, humble in the draft, right? Like he was talked about as like potential first round pick that year. Falls down to round three. Then we see why, right? It was pretty clear and obvious from his Titans days, to the point to where they drafted Will Levis just 1 year later in
yeah,
round two to be the guy. Then we can, the Titans are the Titans. It is what it is.
yeah,
But they move on. Willis goes to the Packers, and I think the thing that is interesting and the reason why he has some intrigue here for some teams was when he's gotten the starts in Green Bay, he's gotten the job done enough at least, right?
yeah,
Um, I think the thing that I see is the big difference here though is he did that on a stacked roster, really good roster in Green Bay. And so you're coming from a position of power there. You are the backup. And so everyone's kind of playing in a way of like, hey, we're not getting led by this guy. We are leading him. And that's where I think everything just turns backwards with this Miami situation. It's not a good roster. It's not a good team. You are
yeah,
the starting quarterback now. And so I don't have huge hope for this, Ryan. I will say money wise is right there next to Justin Fields' deal with the Jets. And you
yeah,
think about a year ago right now when Fields signed with the Jets. Okay, that feels kind of like a similar situation. Fields has failed more, I would say, because he's had more starts. But Willis failed harder when he had his chances before, right, in Tampa, or in Tennessee rather. So I think that Fields is kind of an interesting comp, and we saw how that went for the Jets. Not great. That's kind of what I'm expecting in Miami. How are you feeling on your former face of the franchise?
Well, I don't know if face of the franchise is probably the way to put it. It's like here's a guy. We're gonna see if he sticks. If he doesn't, well, then we're gonna go try Mayo Man over here. Um,
Yeah, yeah.
so I mean, right, you were right. You hit the nail right on the head with what I was thinking with his contract. It's like the Justin Fields contract, just with another added year, to it. It's kind of that mid-level type of quarterback signing, and it's not close to how much money Sam Darnold has made, but it's and like Sam Darnold had more of had a good year in Minnesota before he signed that deal,
Right.
but it's kind of like a mid-level quarterback deal where you're taking a chance. Where like, okay, this can go one of two ways. It can go the way that it went for. Well, it's not going to go, the Seattle way for Miami next year. It's more. I feel like it's more likely to go the Jets' way, but I think
Well,
that there's a way in which like it can go positively for Malik
it
and the Dolphins where it's not.
In the Sam Darnold comparison, it'd be as if the Vikings and Seahawks parts were fused, right? Because he's not signing a 1 year deal here. If he's good, then where Darnold left and went to to the Seahawks. If he's good, he's your guy.
Yeah.
And that would be pretty incredible for them. But right, I don't see it going. Ryan, I don't think the Miami Dolphins are winning the Super Bowl in the next 2 years.
Yeah, I'm just saying. I think just see it in a positive way. It's
Yeah,
like okay, maybe that it was. I mean, listen, if it can go better than the Justin Fields signing, you take that. Even if it's only
yeah,
a 1% more, you take that. But yeah, I'm kind of leaning where it's just like Malik has looked good when he's gotten the time. Shoot, I think I may be misremembering, but there was a game where Green Bay came to Nashville and Malik was the quarterback and he ended up beating us. So um
yes,
very fitting, that happens. It makes sense. And Tennessee sports lore, of course, that happens, um, regardless of sport. But yeah, I think it's probably not going to work out considering the shape that the roster is in. Waddle is still there. You still got some pieces there. I think I think Jackson, the tackle, is one of the higher paying players on that roster right now. Considering how they went and swung for the fences with these guys, and now they got all this dead money on their salary cap. And you take a look at the roster, like it needs some talent there at a lot of key spots. I mean, the defense is a mess. That's why you bring in Halfley. But I
yeah,
mean,
yeah. But
it,
I will say though, I think these are all the reasons why the Dolphins were the right team to take that Sean Malik Willis, right? Because yeah, totally, the roster's a mess, Ryan. I think that's why though they are the team who, if you miss on this, whatever, you weren't gonna be good anyway. If you draft a QB in the first, I don't even know where the Dolphins pick. It's got to be super early.
that's 11.
11? Okay. So let's say they take, I don't know, Ryan, this year's class is pretty much just Mendoza, isn't it? So
Yeah,
there's not even really a QB to take, right? Basically, what you'd probably be doing is drafting Malik Willis. And what I mean by that is you're taking a guy probably later on in the draft, like the Titans did with Willis, letting him fail immediately, and then you're drafting another guy next year. So the Dolphins are completely the correct team to say, okay, Willis, you know what? It's been 4 years for you in the league now. Let's see what you've learned. And if you come through for us, then we've somehow fallen backwards into a guy. And if you don't, then whatever, in 2 years from now, we're drafting anyway, because we're probably the Titans where you would spend a third round pick on Malik Willis, a second round pick on Will Levis, and then a first round pick on Cam Ward. So instead of doing that, we're going to draft a wide receiver in round two. We're going to draft a running back with that third round pick. And those players will actually be able to help you now, as opposed to the quarterback position being this one that we just keep on spending these draft picks on. So I actually think in those ways, I actually think this is perfect. And I think you look around the landscape of like who else was out there, who else is available, whether it be
yeah,
via free agency or trade. I think really their options were either basically go get Malik Willis in free agency, trade for either Anthony Richardson or Mac Jones.
yeah,
That's about it. That's really all I see. Maybe Jalen Milrow could have been available for a trade. Like I don't really see anyone else to bring in to give a realistic shot at that you look at and you say, okay, because like the Jets going for Geno, there's no end game there.
yeah. No, yeah,
Versus, you look at the other options out there, like there could be a little something with those guys. I think Willis is probably the best bet the Dolphins had. So I give the Dolphins, I don't know, a passing grade, but I'm not exactly, waving the flag of, oh, this is the greatest thing in franchise history. It's
yeah.
worth the shot, though, I
Uh,
think.
Although, could you imagine Malik Willis in a Mike McDaniel offense, just speed? at quarterback,
Oh,
running back,
sure.
at wide receiver. Holy cow!
Yeah. Oh, I mean, the wind sprints that that team could run would be incredible.
Oh, I, I will say this. You know, to bring up the hey Malik, you've been in the league 4 years. You know, we're gonna see what you've learned. I saw him talk about that at his presser. I saw there was a quote where he's like he came in the league unprepared and all that
Sure.
stuff. Didn't really know what he was doing,
He
and that
came
was
from
pretty evident
Liberty.
early on. You know that
Yeah,
that was evident with what I saw with whatever Titans fans saw early on.
absolutely.
But and so I think he has learned a lot since then, put in the work, and definitely did so where the Packers trust him to go out there, start a few games when Love was hurt, and got them some wins in that span when he was out. So I think he's learned a lot. I think it's time to put into practice and see what he's going to do in Miami. Jeff Halfley coming from Green Bay has seen him the last couple of years. He's got a lot of confidence in him. So I think I'm very curious to see how this experience will go and see him
Yeah,
as a starting quarterback full time.
and I think we talked about Harbaugh taking a bunch of Ravens players. I think this is a scenario at the quarterback position that really shows you the kid's been working hard. Like that
Mm-hmm.
really shows it. If a coach is willing to put his neck on the line, because you know how this goes. If your quarterback fails, the coach is gonna get fired soon, right? So for the coach to say, "Hey, I'm willing to put my neck on there. This is gonna be my guy to start," and maybe it only lasts 2 years that we draft a guy, but Willis is, that's a high level of trust at least that he has in him. So, I mean, look, you can prepare as much as you want. At some point, it still may not work out for you. Maybe it will. I don't know. I kind of doubt it because I just don't think the situation's very good around him. He's in a really hard spot, but I'm rooting for the kid.
Yeah, this is what happens when you have an almost a near $100 million dead cap hit.
Well, and do we want to go over to him next?
Oh, I mean, might as well transition over to Tua. Yeah.
Yeah, so the Falcons adding a left-handed injury-prone first-round quarterback. Uh
Where have we heard this before?
sound, sound familiar at all as Tua Tagovailoa joins the Falcons? I actually think Ryan. Okay. And I think Willis, it was interesting. I think all three of these guys, Willis, Kyler, and Tua, all three, and Daniel Jones, who we're also going to talk about because he signed that extension with the Colts, right? But Jones had his year last year.
Mhm.
It's interesting to me that teams are really seeming to lean into and really trying to milk the Baker Mayfield route because I really think that Kyler and Tua really fall into that bucket. I wouldn't say Willis does. I would
No.
say Willis does not fit that bucket because he was not a first round pick who fell flat on his face. He was a third round pick who started before he should have. Um, but Kyler and Tua, and especially Tua, really, I think both are guys that I kind of lump them together because I think both are guys who are really talented, obviously highly drafted guys. And I
Yeah.
think the important thing here is look at the coaches these two guys are going to.
Hmm.
Kyler going to Kevin O'Connell and
Kevin
Tua
Stefanski.
going to Stefanski. You look at the weapons in Atlanta, right? Like Baker when he went to Tampa, it's like, okay, we got this Mike Evans, we got this Chris Godwin. Well, I've got a Drake London and a Bijan and even Kyle Pitts. There's a whole lot worse starting points here than that if you're Tua. And Penix, I don't think he's gonna be ready for like the start of the year for sure, it sounds like, right? So
Yeah.
Tua's gonna have that chance. I don't know, Ryan. I think these guys both are. I just traded for two in a dynasty league this week. I see reason to believe if he can stay upright that Tua has a chance here to be productive.
Yeah, I think one thing when it comes to Tua for me is just kind of the quarterback he is that we saw in Miami. Maybe it's just because of Mike McDaniel's system, but it's kind of like Tua pushing the ball downfield. We never really saw a whole lot of that in Miami. It was like a lot of shorter stuff, all that stuff, and you got Tyreek and Waddle. There's a lot of yards after catch. Um,
Right.
and with these, with the players the Falcons have, they're different. Drake London's completely different.
Could
Kyle
not
Pitts
get
completely
more
different.
different.
So,
Yeah.
I will say Bijan's probably the best running back Tua will ever play with. Shan is good, but Bijan is a
You
different
mean
beast.
you mean ETN?
Oh
You mean
goodness.
Devin ETN? I had
If
to.
somebody hasn't made that joke yet, you know,
I'm
if you're the
glad I was the
first,
first.
yeah.
Yeah.
And the offensive line's good there in Atlanta. The offensive line is solid. They got some soft pieces up front, and that's what Tua needs. And Stefanski, I feel like that fits right to what Tua is as a quarterback. So it's a nice match right there. But yeah, it's we'll see how it is. It's both of these both of these quarterbacks are going to places where it kind of fits. It makes sense. But there are also places where they took quarterbacks a couple years ago in the top 10 in
Yeah.
that heralded draft class, where now they're like, one is hurt for most of next year, and the other, you still really don't know if he's good or not. And the starts you hadn't seen him in, he wasn't all that great. The last few were better, but they weren't against great competition.
Well, and let's do Kyler first. Then we do then let's talk about JJ and what it means for him. So Kyler going to the Vikings. It sounds like Kyler was being a little picky, but quite frankly, I don't think he had very many spots to pick from. So it sounds like Kyler though will be the starter. And he did put in his clause a no franchise tag clause in the
Mm,
contract. So that's interesting to me in that that tells me Kyler is the starter, and Kyler at least believes that he's going to work his way to a long-term deal after this, right? Like, I'm going to be great, and then I'm going to get paid again. Um, I think Ryan, I again kind of in that Daniel Jones, Baker Mayfield, Geno Smith kind of a way. I don't see why this couldn't be Kyler's chance for that, right? Hey,
yeah,
you were really, really good. But I would think you can make the argument out of all of those guys who have been reclamation projects at their peaks with their first team, Kyler's peak is probably the highest, right? Sam Darnold, right? Not like he did anything with the Jets. Um, Kyler, those first couple years, Hail Murray, man.
yeah,
His years with Hopkins were really, really good. And
yeah.
really, once Hopkins fell off and was gone, that was really where you saw the dip for Kyler. And
Man,
now
now
he's
he
got
has
Justin
Justin
Jefferson
Jefferson. Yeah,
and he's got Kevin O'Connell. And I think that's going to go a long way for this dude. I think things could really, really go well for Kyler, too. They
yeah.
could go terribly, by the way. There's a reason that these two guys got minimum contracts, got cut, and save their teams a bunch of money. Like, I'm not saying they are for sure lock it in franchise dudes, but I'm leaving the light on for them both.
Good spots for them, all things considering.
Yeah.
How things went. Yeah. I mean, you just think about the pieces in Minnesota. Like these two guys landed with good play callers, experienced play callers that have had really good success with their quarterbacks. You got some good playmakers there in both those offenses that can help you out. The defenses, I mean, for the Falcons is whatever. Minnesota's is a little bit better. You got Brian Flores there that can really kind of throw some funky stuff, get you the ball back, get you some extra possessions. But I mean, yeah, I mean, I like these spots for both these two guys. I mean, they're playing. I mean, of course, they played with talented guys before, but with Kyler, for him, it's been a while with the Cardinals offense. With the guys
Right.
that they haven't had. Then now you put him alongside Justin Jefferson. You got Jordan Addison. Can you get any more out of TJ Hawkinson? Offensive line is solid enough, even though Ron Kelly just retired. Uh, and finding another running back, but you got Kevin O'Connell there, an excellent play caller, one of the best, a top five, top three play
Yeah.
caller in the league. So
Yeah.
you
He's
pair
he's right
him
up there.
together with one of the best receivers in the league. I think I don't know if it's too early to say we might see those early years of Kyler come back, but like there's a decent percentage. I think there's a decent percentage that it can happen.
It's as good of a shot as you could possibly give him. It really is. Like I said, I don't know that it's going to work. but it's set up to where it can at least. Versus if he would have gone, to the Jets, then I would not be feeling this way.
Yeah.
Ryan, I'm gonna put you in a time capsule here. Okay, are you ready for this? Are you ready to hop in my time machine?
Sure.
Okay, the year we are in August 2027. Only one of these men is a named starting quarterback for their team, wherever that team is at, right? They could be on different teams between now and then. Kyler Murray, JJ McCarthy, Michael Penix, Tua, Malik Willis. Who out of those five comes away as a starting quarterback out of this whole situation? Or do you want to rank them even? You could rank them of like most likely to be starting on week 1 of 2027.
Hmm.
Again, not necessarily the team they're on. There can be trades.
Yeah.
Things can be moved,
Yeah.
right? Because I think
Yeah.
like JJ for sure, right? It sounds like
Yeah.
you
Hmm.
who you got number, or do we go 1 through 5 or 5 through 1? Which way would be easier here? Do you
Go
have
five
anybody that
through
you feel
one.
like
Let's go five
5
through
through
one.
1? Okay, so least likely to be starting week
Um,
1 of 2027.
I might say JJ.
Really? Yeah.
I might say JJ.
I'm
I
gonna
just
go
think
with Penn.
it was I was almost gonna pull the trigger on Penix, and then I switched to JJ. It is telling though that we are going with these two guys here who were selected where they were a
Yep.
couple years ago, and this is kind of where we're thinking like where we would have out of these five, Malik Willis and Tua and Kyler both coming off of 1 year minimum deals ahead of them. It is
Yeah.
telling.
So you got Penix at 4 then?
Yeah, I think
Yeah.
so.
And I've got JJ at 4. All right, who are you putting at number 3?
Ooh,
Willis to a Kyler.
I think I might put Kyler at one. I'll put Kyler at one. I don't know for Tua. It depends on where he would end up. It depends on where he would end up. It does
I would
depend.
assume I would assume if he's starting in 27, it's because things went well in 26 and he is starting for the Falcons.
I think it's probably the same thing with Kyler too.
I would think. Although Kyler put in that franchise tag clause, it just makes him a little, he could go to the Steelers and
Yeah.
be
Oh
there,
boy.
right?
Oh
Like
boy,
Kyler's
Peter.
got that opening up, right? Um, although he's not, I don't think Kyler meets the age requirement to start for the Steelers, so I think
It-
that he needs to wait a few more years.
just as a funny thing for you guys, Peter has been putting in the group chat like all these different quarterbacks that have been let go. It's like you are a Pittsburgh Steeler. He's been
And
trying
none
to
of them
will
are.
it. He's been trying to will it into existence.
Yep, and none of them happened because they're
Nope.
just gonna wait until they're just waiting until there's no news, and then they'll sign Aaron Rodgers so he can have his own special day.
Yeah. Yeah.
That man annoys me to no end, Ryan. God, that guy drives me crazy.
Have fun on more darkness retreats, Peter.
Yeah. But I think we're in agreement though, Ryan. I would also say Kyler is the most likely to
Yeah.
have things go well and be a starting quarterback next year. I think Kyler is the guy. Um, yeah. Okay, so JJ, what do you think? Okay, first of all, is it the right move by the Vikings to basically give up on JJ?
I think with what JJ has shown you and what he's not shown you, if you're the Vikings and if you got the guys that you have, and if Kyler shows you enough where you like, let's make this happen. I think yes. I think you move off of JJ. You find him somewhere else. Hey, I'll throw this out here. Put him on a team where we kind of thought he might end up with either the Vikings or the Rams. Put him on the Rams.
Yeah.
You know,
If the Jets came calling today Would you give up on JJ for like, I don't know, let's just say a fourth round pick, right? Like you're basically going to get nothing back for him, but would you give him up right now if you're the Vikings?
I think about it. I don't
Yeah.
know if the Giants would do it because you got two young quarterbacks right there
Oh, I
competing.
said Jets. I'm
Oh,
sorry.
okay,
I meant to say Jets at least.
okay.
Yeah.
Uh, hmm. I don't
Or
know. It
whoever.
depends on how the Jets would stack him up alongside the quarterbacks that are coming out next year.
Oh, they're calling you. You are the Vikings.
Okay,
So they're calling you. So you don't care what they think. Yeah. Yeah, they're calling
okay,
you. It could
okay.
be the Browns, whoever you want to put in that
Are you
slot,
telling me I
right?
can fleece the Browns or the Jets? Sure, sign me
Yeah,
up.
I mean that's true. If you make a trade with one of those two teams, you know it's going your way. I
When is Howie
think it
Roseman getting
does.
the call?
Well, that's when you get scared. You're like, oh god, this guy's going to turn into something. No, I think it's the move though, Ryan, because like you've got a really good defense.
Yeah.
You've got Justin Jefferson right now in his prime. You can't just wait for JJ. It was
Mm,
not good last year. It
no.
really wasn't.
No.
I'm trying to remember what the stat was that we looked up last year, where it was like literally he was second worst ever to Jamarcus Russell. When your name is right next to Jamarcus Russell, I'm not sure there's any scenario where that's a good thing,
No. Oh,
unless you were taken second in that NFL draft. Then it's probably a good thing because I think that wasn't that Megatron.
yeah.
Okay, so unless your name is Calvin Johnson, unless you are Megatron, you do not want to have your name listed next to Jamarcus Russell in anything. And he was. And so I just don't think you could I just don't think you could give him another like non-competition chance. I do think they could have brought in a Gardner Minshew. They could have brought in Geno and said, "Okay, beat this guy." Right? They didn't have to go whole hog with Kyler like they did. But quite frankly, Kyler Murray is not available every year. We don't always
Yeah.
see a QB like that become available without trading away three first round picks, right? So yeah, no, I think I tip my hat to Miami for pulling the trigger and doing it, or Minnesota rather. Yeah, no, I like it. I think it's the right move.
I think so too. And we were going to talk about Daniel Jones a little bit too
Yes,
with him getting paid. As I told you beforehand, that's a lot of dimes. 88 million. I,
it is.
I don't know. Surely somebody's done the math on that considering the nickname. Somebody. Surely.
Well, I mean, the math should be easy, right? You just gotta move some decimal points around,
Yeah. Well, it can't be
right?
me
Because
because
there's
if I do, it's going to be we're going to be here for
oh,
another 50 minutes.
oh, I'm gonna try here, okay, Ryan? This is public math, which is always terrifying. I'm gonna try.
You know,
So 44 million, right?
okay. Yep.
I'm sorry,
44
88 million.
88 million for 2 years.
So basically, every dollar is made up of 10 dimes. So if I multiply 88 times 10, it should then mean it's 880 million dimes, right?
Your guess is as
That
good as mine. I'm not the
okay,
math.
I'm gonna lock that in as my
Uh,
answer.
he is Scrooge McDucking it in a pool of dimes.
How many dimes are in $88 million? dollars?
It is very telling that wasn't a guy that Peter listed in the group chat.
I Google says I'm right. Google says 880
Okay.
million.
Well, all right.
So, all right, Mr. Frankie will be very proud of me for that. In all seriousness though, Ryan, so 44 mil a year. It's a 2-year deal. It can become 100 if he's really good, basically, right? So if he's really good, that puts him dollar wise right behind Jalen Hurts. So you're still, if he's good and he maxes out, you are QB 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. You are paid at QB 11 if you're really good and you max out. If you don't, you are QB 11, 12, 13, 14. You're QB 15. I think for Daniel Jones on a 2-year deal, so if you're bad, the risk is limited here. Great move by the Colts. I think this is a fantastic signing by the Colts. I think that's exactly the deal they should sign him to. He was good for you last year. And I don't think you could move off of that.
Yeah,
And look, QB money is insane. But that's just kind of where it's at. And so I don't think there's anything wrong with a 2-year deal on Daniel Jones be QB 15 money wise. I think that's right where he belongs.
yeah. If it's right where he belongs with what he's getting paid, and with how he played, last year before he got hurt, it definitely lines up. It definitely does, and it does
And looking
mitigate
at
the risk
this,
that the Colts are gonna, I don't know, go get Arch Manning.
sure.
Because Titans fan, I don't want to see another Manning in that division. Please no, please no. Let's
But
let
honestly though, he's it being only a 2-year deal does mean if he's awful, if he's a Daniel Jones that I have always said he is, and you are picking first overall, Ryan, do it. Pull the trigger, and then you cut him. You gotta go full Tua with it. If you're picking top three or whatever, just do it. You're only costing yourself 1 year worth of money because it's only a 2-year deal. For what it's worth, the QBs who are actually like have been paid, not rookie contract quarterbacks, the only ones I see behind him are Stafford, who took a team friendly deal because he's already made all of the money.
yeah.
Darnold, Baker, and now Malik Willis.
Yeah,
Pretty much every QB who's been paid is in front of him.
yeah.
So I think that's perfect. Yeah.
Yeah.
And this goes from a
Let's
guy,
put
Ryan.
Arch Manning on the Cardinals anyway. Let's do that. So we have a Manning to
Sure.
Marvin Harrison again.
And that would be very nostalgic. Yeah, I would enjoy that a lot.
Let's go back to the
Um,
2000s.
but much like the Star Wars sequels, though, this would be paling in comparison to the original trilogy.
Yes, yes, it would, and I'm glad it would. I wish the first one paled in comparison in the AFC South, but Titans
Does
luck,
Edgerton
it doesn't.
James does Edgerton James have a son that's playing running back by any chance?
He probably has a son. I don't know if he's playing running back.
Just it doesn't matter. Put him on the Cardinals. Complete the set. Come
What about Reggie Wayne, Dallas
on.
Clark?
Yeah. Bring him in. Dallas Clark the third. Bring him in.
Oh goodness, Payne.
I'm not
Hey,
sure why it's good the generation for Dallas Clark.
you're going to tip Payne Manning to try to come back. It's like let's get the gang all back together. You know, um, no, but yeah, I think this is a right spot for for Daniel Jones. It makes sense, and if you're the Colts, you can cut him. You can cut him, and then you can go find your next quarterback, and you figure out what to do with Anthony Richardson. Now you find a trade partner for him, see where he lands. So yeah, it makes all the sense in the world. So
Is there any openings that you feel like make sense for Anthony Richardson right now?
um, trying to think it off the top of my head, like who?
If we're assuming Rodgers to Pittsburgh,
Yeah, Rogers to Pittsburgh. Um, trying to think. Maybe no AFC team. Is there an NFC team that could? Let's see.
I'm really not seeing one. I mean, the only thing I can think of is if a team gets a year out ahead of it, like the
Yeah,
Rams. I
yeah,
think isn't Dak's contract up in like a year?
maybe.
Um, so maybe a situation like that where a team is looking ahead a little bit, but he's gonna get to the point here soon where you got to sign to a weird extension, and it'll probably be a little Malik Willisy in a way, right? Where it's
Yeah,
gonna be like, we're gonna pay you kind of like a starter now.
yeah.
So I don't know. Maybe he just sits in Indy for one more year and then he goes somewhere. I would love to, I mean, honestly, from a scheme fit standpoint, I would love for him to be the backup for the Ravens.
I mean, of course.
Because like then you just keep the offense the same, right? That's why I love the Tyler Huntley as the backup.
Yeah, it makes sense. You sign backups that are similar to your quarterback ones who are just
Uh,
not as good.
Two out of the Falcons,
Yeah,
left-handed, injury prone, first
yeah.
round, man.
Left-handed quarterbacks.
It all makes sense there. All right,
Uh,
Ryan. We wrapping it there?
yeah, let's wrap it here, everybody. This was fun as always. Tackling free agency, the first wave, and we still got some guys on the market, and we'll see where they sign. Manifesting the Jamal Jennings to the Titans signing here. In between now and the next time we pod, so I can show you the jersey I then bought. Uh, yeah, we'll have the draft coming up next. Always fun when that rolls around. I might be doing something solo with the draft that try to get some more pods in, and then Matt, you and I will be on at some point in between now and the draft, and we'll get together and we'll dive
Oh yeah.
into this draft and talk about the first round and see where these things go. Because I mean, we got the Titans, Ravens, Chiefs. They're drafting in the top 15, so
Ravens have a pick still.
yeah, Ravens still have a pick still. They're still picking at 14. So, we'll be talking about that here before you know it here because we're already. Oh boy, it's March
I
14th,
know.
so we're
I
mid March,
know.
everybody. So we're slightly over a month away, but yeah, we'll talk about that then, everybody, and it'll be a lot of fun. And also, we got March Madness coming up by the time this pod drops. So I mean, everything going on, all the fun stuff going on. So, everybody, that's going to do it for us here. Thank you guys so much for tuning in. As always, check us out where you guys get your podcasts. Check us out on YouTube. Do all the podcast and YouTube things. And until next time, that's all we got for you guys. We'll talk to you soon.